Welcome to the debate. So imagine stepping onto a crowded, dimly lit dance floor. The salsa music kicks in, you lock eyes, and you take the hands of a complete stranger.
Right. And if you've ever been in that exact situation, you know that sudden rush of adrenaline.
Oh, absolutely. The question is, do you need a rigid, memorized script of patterns to survive the next 3 minutes? Or do you need a, flexible, modular vocabulary to actually hold a kinetic conversation?
It really is the ultimate test of preparation because you either know how to navigate the chaos or you just freeze.
Precisely. And today we're unpacking a massive pedagogical divide in the Afro-Latin dance world. We're looking specifically at the most effective approach to teaching complex partner dances like salsa, bachata, zouk, and kizomba.
We are examining two fundamentally different philosophies here. So on one side, we have the traditional method of teaching fixed, long dance choreographies, which is honestly the way most of us probably learned.
Yeah, definitely. And on the other side, there's this radical deconstruction known as the Dance Lenga modular method. It basically breaks these dances down into interchangeable foundational elements.
And this tension emerges directly from two really fascinating source texts we're digging into today: the Dance Lenga offline manual and the Blue Ocean strategy for Dance Lenga.
Right. And I will be representing the perspective that the modular Dance Lenga method accelerates true improvisational skill, musical agility, and crucial long-term retention.
And I'll be arguing that traditional fixed pattern instruction provides essential structure, a necessary holistic cultural flow, and a much faster, more practical application for dancers who actually just want to survive and have fun on the social floor.
Let's lay out the core of these positions, because the reality of Afro-Latin social dancing, as explicitly detailed in the text, is that it is fundamentally improvisational.
Right.
They sometimes refer to it as a promiscuous dance style.
Exactly. You can step onto a floor in Tokyo, Berlin, or Bogota with someone you've literally never met and dance brilliantly together, provided, you speak the same kinetic language. The music comes first and the dance is merely a physical interpretation of it.
But you're going to argue that the traditional studio model doesn't reflect that. I mean, it completely fails to reflect it. Instructors teach long, rigid choreographies with internationally standardized elements. They treat the actual music playing in the background merely as a metronome, just to keep time.
That's a bit harsh.
But it's true. It is exactly like teaching someone a script for a play when the reality of the social floor demands improv comedy. And the Dance Lenga method solves this by introducing, aggressive modularity.
And by modularity, you mean basically tearing the dance down to its studs.
Yes, exactly that. It breaks down these long, unwieldy patterns into what they call dance elementen, or dance elements, which are usually just 2 8 counts long.
Okay, so very short blocks.
Right, and the pedagogical focus shifts entirely to the transitions between these blocks, utilizing a literal cut-and-paste methodology. By mastering the transitions, which the text calls the secret sauce of the system, dancers build this exponential database of moves.
Sure, but
Leaders learn to genuinely improvise on the fly, and followers are actually forced to stop anticipating the next move because, there is no memorized sequence to rely on. It finally reflects the reality of the social floor.
okay, right, but we have to look at how human beings actually learn a physical skill. The traditional method of teaching long, fixed patterns isn't some archaic mistake. It is a proven, highly effective pedagogical tool.
Is it, though?
Yes, it provides crucial context, muscle memory, and most importantly, an immediate sense of accomplishment. Even the Blue Ocean text explicitly admits that the Dance Lenga method is een stuk langzamer, which means a lot slower than regular courses.
Well, yes, slower in the short term, maybe.
But that short term is when you hook the student. Think about a traditional class. A student can learn 6 to 7 elements in a single hour. By the end of that hour, they can immediately execute a full, fluid sequence. They feel like dancers tonight.
I get the appeal of the illusion.
It's not an illusion. And furthermore, there is a deep historical precedent here that we just cannot ignore. The text highlights how June Liberta worked with Eddie Torres to standardize long sequences into the Mambo syllabus.
Right, the Palladium era stuff.
Exactly. They took the wild improvisational energy of New York's Palladium era and codified it into long, teachable 8-count structures. That standardization was the very foundation that built the global Afro-Latin dance industry.
I mean, no one is denying Eddie Torres's impact.
So deconstructing these deeply cultural dances into isolated clinical blocks risks losing the immediate joy, the momentum, and the holistic cultural context of the art form.
I hear the argument about immediate joy and feeling like a dancer on night one. But let's look at the actual retention data. You mentioned that a student can learn 6 to 7 elements in an hour using the traditional method.
Yep, easily.
But what is the actual depth of that retention? Teaching a long traditional choreography is like teaching someone to recite a speech phonetically in a foreign language.
Oh, come on. It's not that shallow.
It is. Sure, they sound fluent for about 3 minutes, but ask them a question off script and they completely freeze. They can't have a real conversation. The source material points out a staggering psychological fact regarding this. If students don't actively practice, they forget what they've learned within 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
20 minutes. The information simply seeps out of their short-term memory as soon as they leave the studio. Dance Lenga purposely sacrifices that illusion of immediate speed for actual neurological retention.